I think it was probably the most pivotal moment of my life. I was already involved in breathwork. And prior to that, after my business life, in my late 40s, I moved in order to recover from being like a type A times 3 person. I bought a boat, I started sailing, and then I moved to Asia. I moved to India for 4 years of meditation, and then continued sitting in Bali in Indonesia for another 3 years before I came back to the world again. So I'd managed it took 7 years to slow down my mind, and I wanted to make sure that my re-entry was conscious. And I wasn't quite sure what that meant, but I definitely wanted to give back to the world and find a way that I could help this sickness that I saw. So I did start with breathwork, and I'd started having people come and breathe with me. And this was in Bali, and then I got very ill and nobody could find out what was wrong. And it was a parasite. Eventually we found out, but I got very close to death at least twice as a result of medications not working and at first people not knowing what it was. They were medicating the wrong thing. So the experience of that was, I call it the great illness, but it was also the great gift, as often these illnesses are. And the symptoms for me were not sleeping and also tremendous swelling in my body and polyneuralgia. I couldn't move anything without a sort of a stabbing pain, and that would cause contraction that would then send pain everywhere, and the whole body would go into this negative cycle of pain. So I learned to lie still. And it's still the pain, even if I breathed too vigorously, the pain would come back again. I had to learn how to breathe without moving my body. And this is where I discovered, and I went through all those stages of, look, why is this happening? I'm gonna muscle through this. Why can't I muscle through it? It's like every ounce of will that I brought to the mix got thrashed by pain. So it was a futile struggle. And eventually I got beaten into this reality of like sipping the air in such small quantities. It's almost as if I wasn't breathing at all. I was taking the absolute minimum that I needed. And in that space, I was in that space for maybe 7 or 8 weeks during this illness. And I think I discovered what surrender meant, in no uncertain terms. I understood that life isn't just about will, it's also about surrender. And then I began to look at what purpose meant. What does purpose mean? Is purpose what drives me and therefore I'm a slave to it? Or is it something that I generate from my heart? Or is it something that comes through me? What is the nature of purpose and what is my relationship with it? And I think I got close enough to a still point, in other words, not breathing at all. First of all, I can really understand how those yogis in caves in India are able to stop breathing for long periods of time. But I can't say I got there, but I was able to have maybe almost a minute between breaths. I think I got to a still point. It was like the slate was cleaned and there really was a line in the sand. And it was like, okay, Anthony, every conscious step that you make from now on, or every step that you make from now on, needs to be informed by consciousness. Otherwise, you're going to fall back into the old traps of being egotistical about how many people broke through when you did a breath work. And I think I'd approached it, I wasn't entirely clean. And that's I think when the mastery, it was like a new level of mastery was being called for. It's like, don't accept a superficial sense of mastery. Don't accept because someone is telling you that you're incredible and that you changed your life. Don't accept that that's true. It might be true, but don't accept that it's true. Be who you are. Don't be distracted from who you really are. I think the transition was from being a human doing into being a human being at that point, that I understood the power of being is really much more important than our sense of control, than our need to control things, because we can't control life. We can participate and we can co-create, but we can't control it. So I think those were the lessons that I learned, and it changed everything. I probably do as much as I did when I was a AAA, plus on the A train, but I do it with a sense of calm, I do it with a sense of peace and pleasure and joy.